Do you do with the child who doesn't want to eat the veggies or?
Exactly. I was going to say there's going to be questions, but exactly. And that's where it's like trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we dance together with this?
Right. Okay.
We get to decide when meals are, what's being served. So basically that structure around it.
Mhm.
And then once we put it on the table, so we're responsible for the timing, the location. That was the other one, the timing, the location, and what's on the menu.
Mhm.
And then after that, once we put it on the table, the kids are responsible for if they're going to eat, which
Okay.
parts they're going to eat, and how
Sure.
much.
Hi, this is the Care Room with Dr. Cindy. Welcome. It's a space that was created just for you. I'm your host, Dr. Cindy, and this is a chance to get up close and personal with me. We're going to talk about the things in medicine that matter to you. We'll talk about the questions you've been carrying. We're going to have some honest conversations. We're going to hold space for joy, struggles, and everything in between. It's care that goes beyond the exam room. Care you're going to take home with you, whether you're listening while you're driving or you're listening while you're exercising. I promise that it's going to be care that's rooted in truth and a deep commitment to walking with you every step of the way. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Care Room with Dr. Cindy. On today's episode, I have the lovely Dr. Wendy Schofer with us. Um, before I introduce her and kind of mess things up, I'll let her introduce herself and tell us what she does.
There's no messing up. I never know how I'm going to introduce myself either. So, how about that?
We'll take
so,
it.
hi everyone. I am Dr. Wendy Schofer. I am a pediatrician. I am a mom, and I am the founder of Family in Focus, where I specialize in helping families through honestly all of the emotions around the feeding, the growing of a healthy family, eating habits, eating disorder prevention, and specifically all of the anxieties and guilt that we have kind of
Sure.
behind the surface or below the surface, if you will.
Sure, sure. Wendy, it's so nice having you here. So you mentioned that you're a mom. I'm a mom as well. I have two lovely babies, although they will probably yell at me for calling them babies. They're 10 and 7. Um, and I know I have a lot of patients who are moms, who are right there with us, deep, knee deep in trying to figure out how we can do this without that mom guilt,
Yeah.
how we can do this and raise healthy kids, but also kids with a healthy self-esteem.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think that you and I were just talking about
Mhm.
the
Right.
dance that we get to have as parents trying to navigate all of these different rules. Like there's so many different rules that are out there, the guidance, like eat this, not that, not too much, not too little. It's such a Goldilocks type of thing where we're
Mhm.
trying to find the just right, the in moderation.
Right.
And yet, I think that that's something that we're still kind of searching for something that doesn't really exist.
Right.
Because if you try to teach your kids, well, just eat in moderation, they're like, what does that mean?
Yep.
And we don't know either. And I got to tell you, there are some days where I'm like, no, I don't want to eat in moderation. I want to eat my heart out
Right.
right now. And so, how do we dance with that? That is like normal. It's not something where we're just going to be living in this moderate lane
Right.
all of our lives. And so, a lot of the conversations that I have with families and specifically with parents,
Sure.
because it's us trying to figure out, well, how do we want to approach this for ourselves and then be able to share that with our kids? And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of, we're trying to heal from a lot of what we've experienced growing up.
Right. Right.
Um, a lot of shame, a lot of focus on our bodies and,
Yeah.
being a product of growing up in the 80s, my goodness,
Yeah.
this skinny culture and, how you were trying to like diet, but quietly, not
Right.
admitting it to anyone
Right.
behind the scenes. And that's coming back with a vengeance right now. And so we're trying not to repeat those steps with our families. And yet, then there's this thing called mom guilt that sneaks in.
It always does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so a lot of the work, but let's just instead of calling it work, like a lot of the different approach is about understanding, okay, this is a lot of emotions. It's not all about finding the right way. It's about understanding, well, hold on, I'm afraid of shame. I don't want guilt. Hold on a minute. I'm actually trying to avoid different feelings here.
Okay.
And we're
Okay.
not used to talking about our feelings. We're
Right.
so not
Right.
used to that.
Right. Right. So how do we bring that in with our kids? I know you mentioned, moderation. We don't have a definite definition for moderation, right? And that's the term I use with my own children, moderation, when they ask for something, but then you feel guilty. Yeah, you can have it, everything in moderation. But at the same time, I recognize that, maybe we might be going off to the other end where it's too much or, um, at other times I'm encouraging, one of the kids to eat more, because I noticed, for whatever reason that they haven't eaten for the day. So how I know we don't want to use the term moderation, but what do we use or how do we go about, um, feeding our kids without that mom guilt, um, and then without, having them go the other way to becoming obese, which we're also trying to fight.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to slow it down for a moment because there's actually a
Yeah.
whole bunch of questions and overlapping things in there, which are
Okay.
completely real.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sure.
completely real and honest. And so noticing, okay, well now I don't want to talk about moderation
Okay.
because
Hmm.
a lot of times we start thinking, well, there's words that I need to avoid.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just a difficult concept for us. Okay. So it's not that moderation is a bad thing. I think it's just that we don't know what it is.
Okay.
It's kind of like, how do we really describe this and practice it?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I talk about a lot with parents is, well, what is it that you actually want to see? Like in your household, what are the routines that you want to establish?
Okay.
And thinking about a framework.
Okay.
So, it's kind of like when you're driving down the road,
Hmm.
you know where your guardrails are. You
Hmm.
know, okay, this is what I'm going to do. You
Hmm.
actually know what the speed limit is. No, you get to choose what you're going to do, but this is the way it goes here. On this road, I've got this space to operate within. I know the direction that I'm going. I know the general speed that I'm going.
Hmm.
It's kind of like you don't have to make decisions. You don't have to figure out what's moderate for this particular road because that's the structure. Well,
Okay.
how can we do that around how we eat, what we eat,
Sure.
when we eat?
Hmm.
And when we create that kind of structure, it actually helps to remove a lot of the emotions around it because
Okay.
there's no decisions. Well, maybe this time, mm, I don't know. This is just the way we do it. And so a lot of that is trying to figure out, well, what is it that you want to just approach it that this is the way you do it in your household? We eat at these times.
Okay.
These
Okay.
are the types of foods that we serve. So, we sit down, we have meals.
Okay.
When there's discussion about snacks,
Hmm.
these are the options that we have available in our house. Not that there's something good, that's not that there's something bad, it's not healthy or unhealthy. This is what we do in our house.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's helpful. So just to recap what you're saying. So having set times, or before I go there, we want to
Yeah.
do what's best for our family, right?
Mhm.
So having set times, when we probably sit down as a family and eat, and that helps with other things as well, like bonding and, hearing about their day, right? And then having set things in our house, what we do as a family for snacks and for meals. So help me unpack that some more. So
Mhm.
what do you do with the child who doesn't want to eat the veggies or,
Exactly. I was gonna say there's gonna be questions, but exactly. Exactly. Well, and that's where it's like trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we dance together with this?
Right.
So there is an approach with, I don't know if you ever heard of Ellen Satter and the division of responsibility.
Mm-mm.
Are you familiar with that?
No,
Um,
no. Teach us.
so Ellen Satter is, I'm not sure if I'm using the right term, but I'm just going to say the creator of intuitive eating. And she talks about uh, not the creator, but
Sure, sure.
she's the
Yeah.
one that's attributed that's attributed to. But so she talks about the division of responsibility in feeding children,
Okay.
and so we have our responsibility as the parents.
Okay.
We get to decide when meals are, what's being served. So basically, that structure around it.
Mhm.
And then once we put it on the table, so we're responsible for the timing, the location. That was the other one, the timing, the location, and what's on the menu.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then after that, once we put it on the table, the kids are responsible for if they're going to eat,
Okay.
which parts they're going to eat, and how
Sure.
much.
Wow, I love that. I've never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
that doesn't actually answer your question
Mhm.
about what if they don't want the veggies.
Right.
Except,
But
is that your responsibility or their responsibility?
yeah. So it is their responsibility, right? My responsibility is to present it to them or make sure it's on the table. But yeah, how do I get my kids to eat veggies, Dr. Schofer?
And I think that this is really the
Yeah,
thing because everybody's
yeah,
like, must eat veggies,
yeah, yeah,
must do it. I got to sneak it past the goalie. I got to
yeah.
blend it. I got to
Right,
like get it
right.
in there because they must have their veggies.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I think that it's a matter of trying to figure out that dance that you're having with your
Sure,
child.
sure.
Okay, I'm going to admit, I'm a 90, my husband says 90% vegetarian. Okay. I always tell him to stop doing math with what I eat. But I really do believe in vegetables. Like I'm
Sure,
the vegetarian that actually eats vegetables.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah,
And yet we've kind of put them up there on this pedestal
right,
and driving ourselves crazy. Like, I must get my child to eat the veggies.
right.
And it's creating a lot of pressure in our homes
Sure,
around food. Like when somebody comes up and says, you got to do this, you're like, no, I don't.
right,
And the more that we push, the more that we, create
right,
the setup for pushback.
right.
I think unfortunately veggies are getting a little bit of a bad rap for that on kids
Sure, sure.
because
Okay,
they're like,
so
oh,
yeah. So maybe, okay, if I use another example, say if you
yeah,
have a nut allergy in the family,
oh
or
yeah,
you have someone with, a family history of, if there's like a family member with diabetes or, high cholesterol,
hmm
how, I guess what you're really saying, it all depends on the family and your rules, and you doing that dance. Um, but what we tend to find is, well, people go, well, I don't have that problem.
Right.
so and so does. So why do I have to eat like so and so? And I know that a lot of what you recommend is the parents, starting with the parents first, modeling that behavior. So how
Yeah.
do we get around that, Dr.
Yeah.
Schofer?
Well, let's notice that
Yeah.
we're bringing in a whole bunch of different examples that might be approached differently.
Okay.
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 So, but we could also kind of see what's different or what's similar between them.
Sure.
So, if we take the example of someone who's allergic to nuts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, how are we going to approach their meals?
Right.
Like just thinking about it, I got to tell you, there is no way I'm going to have any nuts around. If you're going to,
Agreed.
have anaphylaxis, okay, medical problem,
Out of the house.
okay.
EpiPen by
So
the table.
exactly, exactly. Okay, so this is a medical reason that we can all like think of very dramatic reasons
Right.
why we're like, this is a nut-free zone.
Right.
It's not that there's anything good or bad about nuts. It's just that does not fit in our family, in our, lifestyle for this person, for this child.
Mhm.
But also, I bet you there's a very compelling reason to not have nuts just kind of willy nilly hanging out around in the kitchen at home.
Right.
Well, how could that also apply if we have someone who has, maybe a reason that they need to not eat certain foods,
Mhm.
whether it is an intolerance, whether it is something that they're being followed for medically? And you notice how I'm not getting into all the various specifics, but there's, because there's discussions to have with your doctor about what foods, are a part of your
Sure.
nutrition, which ones are
Sure.
not. But I think that it's something that if we can look at it and just be like, yeah, this is just the way that we want to approach it. So
Mhm.
we've actually had in our household, we host exchange students a
Sure.
lot. And so we have had very many different eating, needs,
Mhm.
different medical requirements over time. I mean, I got to tell you, we've had, uh, so I don't know, getting into specifics, but having vegetarian, we've got some pretty darn like carnitarians, so like carnivores in the house too. Um, we have hosted a student with celiac disease. We've
Okay.
hosted another student who developed inflammatory bowel disease while they were living with us. We
Hmm.
have, another child with lactose intolerance.
Sure.
And so all these different things that it's like, okay, let's figure out what it is that we need.
Right.
The child that was coming here with celiac disease, we were like, okay, we can go gluten free. We
Sure.
can do this to support you.
Sure.
And figuring that out, we're like, I I want to make this a space that is open, that we can all eat the
Right.
foods that we serve here. And so I think about that a lot when I think about, well, how do we want to approach this for the whole family?
Mhm.
How do we want to be inclusive so
Mhm.
that it's not something where there's this food over here, but you can't eat that?
Right.
Because that's setting up for, where there's concerns about jealousy, envy, exclusion.
Right.
And that's really disconnecting over food.
Right.
And so, how can we create that space where, hey, this is how we approach it in our family? And every family is different. You get to, determine, you get to have that dance.
Right.
And so that's why I think that there's no hard and fast rules for it. It's just like, okay, let's figure out what works for you.
Sure. So, okay. So there any general rules that you have in terms of dealing with that dance?
Well, I think that the first one is let's figure out what is just the general structure.
Okay.
The general structure, again, to meals, to the types of foods that we want to have available,
Okay.
to how do we want to approach this? Like, is this something where anyone can go into the refrigerator or the pantry at any time? And if that's the case, well, what are the foods that we want to have available?
Okay.
And so it's kind of like creating this space where we can play within it. A lot of times we talk about boundaries. I talk about, the structure. What's the framework? This is the way that we do it here. So we decided over time with our family that we were going to, make it that, all food in the house is always it's available. Like it's not like you can't touch this. But we decided that treats, desserts were something that we weren't going to, have readily available in the house because I got to tell you, every single treat, every single dessert tastes the same to me. It tastes like more. Like I always want more. And I recognize that.
Sure.
I recognize that. And so making it something where it was like, this is going to be our special occasion. It's going to be where we're going out. We're
Okay.
going to go out for this. And so that it doesn't have to be that way in your house, but think about like what works for you. How do you want to approach this?
Okay. And tell us more about like what you do, Dr. Schofer. How can we find you if someone's listening and they're like, I really like what I hear. I want to work with her some more. How can they
Yeah,
find you? Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there's so much more to the discussion because there's a
Yeah.
lot of creating the structure and the framework. And then there's always, but this is what happens in real time. This is what I'm facing with my family. And
Sure.
so that's where I think a lot of the discussion is not about the education, it's about the application. It's
Okay.
about like, okay, this is what I'm really facing, which is where all of the emotions come in.
Yeah.
And so what I do is really connect with parents about the stress, the emotions, the things that are
Hmm.
coming up where you're like, yeah, that sounds good, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm really facing in my family. This is how I feel about it. And I think that that's really where the magic happens, where we understand the stress, the mom guilt. Yes, it's real. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that there's something wrong with it, it's understanding. We are at this place where we're switching from the way that we were raised,
Right.
the way that we've been treating, how our bodies have been treated, how, we are feeding and growing ourselves to now being able to help our kids.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of cycles and a lot of emotions with that. And so that's where, with the work that I do with parents, it's about talking about emotions openly.
Sure.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with what you're feeling, but let's understand it.
Sure.
Because everything that we do, the way that we eat, the way that we move, it's because of how we feel. Either, we want to feel more of, or maybe we're, really like, I need some comfort right now.
Okay.
I need to stop feeling this discomfort. So, but answering your question, my website is wendyschofermd.com. I trust you'll spell it because
Yes. Yes.
yeah, anyway, we will talk about maiden names and married names and how
Yes.
I now have to spell my name all the
Yes.
time.
That's okay.
But you
Yeah.
can learn more about working together individually as well as the group program with Family in Focus, where I really specialize in working directly with parents, just like you, as we're navigating this and finding the ways to de-stress
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of the approaches.
Yeah. I can tell you it gets stressful because you want to do it right, especially as a mom. You have this, heavy responsibility that you always feel and carry with you that, I don't want them growing up and saying, "Okay, why didn't mommy do it this way?" or and I'm sure it's gonna happen. But that type A personality that, you want to be that perfectionist in every way. But yeah,
So noticing we want to do it right. Okay,
yeah.
that's a whole lot of socialization. And I'm going to call it out in particular for women.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we want to be the perfect, woman, wife, mom,
Mm-hmm.
doctor. Okay, let's throw the medical socialization on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to offer one of the reframes. Okay, we're always looking for how we're doing it right. How is it that this is the right decision right now?
Right.
This is the right decision right now. And the other one that I really learned this loud and clear with my kids as they thought that everything that I had done was the right decision. God bless them. Somebody did, but they thought that everything was a direct line from here to there. Well, mom, you're a doctor. You always wanted to be a doctor. I'm like, you have no idea
Right.
how I got here. The
Right.
only way that it's a straight line is looking back.
Right.
And I've been learning and growing all along the way. I've been messing up.
Yeah.
This is how I messed up today. This is how I learned. This is how I want to do it differently. And I think giving ourselves that space to
Right.
acknowledge, I'm still figuring out how I'm going to approach this. I'm
Yeah.
still figuring out what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And it gives them the opportunity to be like, oh, okay, hold on. I don't have to have all the right answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was one of your messages in your last email. Guys, if you're listening, Dr. Schofer, she has an email that goes out. You can also sign up for that. I think on your website, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Wendy. And her last name is spelled Schofer. But what I'm referencing is her weekly, is it weekly? I think your
it
emails
is.
are, yeah, where she discusses all of that. So if you're like me, a mom who's, you know, struggling with the food and, the weight discussion, but also wanting your kids to be healthy and have a healthy self-esteem, certainly. Take a look at Dr. Schofer's website and sign up for her emails and book a call. Book a call. She's lovely, as you can hear today. I certainly will be chatting with her some more. But Dr. Schofer, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy doc and mom, and we are just so honored that you were here with us today. But yeah, are you open to coming back at another point? I'm putting you on the spot, but
Are you kidding me? Of course. Oh, this is fun. I was
I
like,
know.
I know we only have so much time every time. So I'm like, yes, let's do this again. It is totally a pleasure. And to be
Yeah,
honest with you, I just want to help kind of like sprinkle in some stress relief along the way. I mean,
yeah,
that newsletter you're talking about, it's called The Exhale because
yeah,
it's all about, oh,
yeah,
how can we just like take a breath and just exhale and just let it go?
yeah.
Let these are important things, but letting go that stress.
Yeah. Yeah, and I found it really helpful. I was in a rush, but I saw it pop up into my inbox. I opened it, I read it. I was like, "Oh, this is so good. So good." Um, and I had to go about my day again, but later on I did come back and kind of sat with everything and because it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So I'm glad that you're that breath of fresh air that we all need and you're allowing us to exhale. So guys, sign up, sign up, sign up. All right. Until next time, thanks again, Dr. Schofer.
Thank you so very much.
You are very welcome.
Thanks for spending time in the care room today with Dr. Cindy. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, share this podcast. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me there. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are doctors who do care. The information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. Always, always consult your personalized healthcare provider for medical guidance.